keep you.
That's all right. You ready to go to work?
Oh my God, I'm so ready to go to work.
I was raised to take action. My mother knew that she was raising two black daughters who would be treated differently because of how they looked. Growing up, whenever I got upset about something, my mother would look me in the eye and ask, "So what are you going to do about it?" That's why, when I saw a broken justice system, I became a lawyer to try and fix it. It's why, during the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big banks as California's Attorney General. It's why, as United States Senator, I have fought to represent people like my mother, people who politicians often overlook or don't take seriously. Right now, America needs action. In the middle of a pandemic, the president is trying to rip away health care. While small businesses close, he's given breaks to his wealthy donors. And when the people cried out for support, he tear-gassed them. America is in crisis, and I know Joe Biden will lead us out of it. He's a man of faith, decency, and character. He raised his family that way. I saw it firsthand with my good friend, Bo. As Joe says, we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. But together, it's a battle we can win. We just have to take action.
First of all, is the answer yes?
The answer is absolutely yes, Joe, and I am ready to work. I am ready to do this with you, for you. I'm just deeply honored, and I'm very excited.
That was a first look here at Morning Joe at a brand new ad from the Biden-Harris campaign. And from the presidential race to a hard-fought U.S. Senate battle, recent polling in North Carolina shows incumbent Republican Tom Tillis trailing his challenger by 8 points. And the Democratic candidate, Cal Cunningham, joins us now. Welcome. What are you up against now here as you're trying to beat Tillis? It's looking good, but how do you bring it over to the finish line?
Well, Mika, first of all, I'm grateful to be on this morning. Thank you. It's a historic moment for America this morning, and we're excited here in North Carolina as well. We can see polls today, but we don't decide races by big margins like that in North Carolina. We know we have a fight on our hands and a really pivotal seat for the U.S. Senate, and we're fighting for every vote. And we'll continue to do that over the next 80-plus days. And with North Carolinians' support, we'll be part of a change in Washington come January of next year.
Jason Johnson, jump in.
So, Mr. Cunningham, I'd love to ask you all sorts of ACC questions. I'm a UNC alum. That's where I got my doctorate. But I'll go more political up front. You were in a race in a state that not just Donald Trump carried, but in an area where he has strong support in certain pockets. How are you differentiating your campaign from a national message? What are you telling voters in North Carolina that's like, look, Trump is one issue, but this is what I'm going to bring to North Carolina that Tom Tillis hasn't? How have you staked out that particular space?
Well, first of all, Jason, you're making our alma mater proud at Chapel Hill, and I'm grateful to see you on here. Look, I'm very focused on North Carolina. There's obviously a national campaign going on around us. My job as the senator for North Carolina is to elevate the voices of the people of this state, to make sure that they're heard in the fights that are taking place in Washington. While Joe Biden and now the Biden-Harris ticket enjoys a small lead in North Carolina, I'm, as you see in those polls, have a little bit more margin on Tom Tillis, and that's because he's even distrusted by Donald Trump and Republicans supporters here. We hear in day after day, in town hall meeting after town hall meeting, that he's just not getting the job done, that he's not putting the interests of North Carolinians first. And in the push and pull of Washington politics, he's decided something's more important than representing our state. That's the special interest and the partisan interests that are standing in the way of progress in Washington. And we're going to vote for change here this fall.
So, Mr. Cunningham, a quick follow-up here. North Carolina, I have family there, I know people there, is one of the states that's trending in the wrong direction sometimes when it comes to coronavirus. And some of that is because you have a lieutenant governor and sometimes a legislature that has sued the governor when he has attempted to come up with great policies for wearing masks and controlling the virus. What's your plan as a senator who would potentially be representing the state? What would you tell the governor that we should be doing to make sure the coronavirus doesn't end North Carolina's way of life, but also respects the fact that we're dealing with a global pandemic?
Well, Jason, first of all, our governor is listening to the public health experts, and frankly, he has a set of plans, not just to combat the virus with the tools that he has available, but also to work judiciously to get us through the economic turmoil associated with it. Washington should take note. We need a national response to this, and it's clear that Washington has fumbled this response. My opponent, Tom Tillis, of course, has been too weak to stand up to this administration and hold it accountable to make sure that we're focused on the healthcare challenges, aid to local governments and state governments, support to help get our schools open or to educate our children safely. And so on major priority after major priority, my opponent hasn't been part of the solution, and Washington's been fumbling the response.
Claire McCaskill.
Cal, it's good to visit with you. North Carolina has a sweet spot in my heart because of my dear friend, Kay Hagan. And I know that Kay Hagan served in the Senate with a huge streak of independence. She was somebody who was not afraid to go against the party line. She is somebody who put North Carolina first. I know that's what you're embracing in this campaign. I'm curious as to whether or not North Carolinians are figuring out how Tom Tillis twists himself in a pretzel. I remember in February of 2019 when he wrote an op-ed criticizing the president's illegal use of executive orders. And pretty soon he was back in line, hiding under Trump's desk, and has yet to emerge since that time. Talk about independence and why that is an important value for you in North Carolina.
Well, Claire, first of all, your words spoken at Senator Hagan's funeral were very touching and very poignant, and she was a dear friend, she and Chip. This is the seat that she held, and you're right, she did cut a very independent streak. North Carolinians are hardworking people, we're decent, we are common sense, but we're also a very proudly independent people, and we expect the same from our senator. Your example about what Tom Tillis did, important not just because he said his vote would be a matter of principle, and then he did what the Fayetteville Observer called an Olympic gold medal flip-flop at the behest of this administration. But when the president then started rounding up money to send to the border to fund that wall, they defunded things at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro, North Carolina. So North Carolinians lost as a result of Tom Tillis's weakness and inability to stand up to this administration. North Carolinians see it. Even Donald Trump supporters distrust him. And so we're picking up support in unlikely places in North Carolina.
Cal Cunningham, thank you so much. And we have reached out to the Tillis campaign and hope to have the senator join us on Morning Joe in the near future. Thanks very much for being on. And as we close out the hour, look at some of the new polling released right on the heels of Joe Biden's VP announcement of Kamala Harris, showing the former vice president holding a 10-point lead over President Trump. In the Monmouth University poll, Biden is up 51% to the president's 41%. And in the latest Marquette University Law School poll, Biden is 48 to 42% among registered voters in Wisconsin. When breaking down those numbers further, President Trump leads in only one age group, among voters below the age of 29. Biden is up 24 points. Among voters aged 30 to 44, Biden is up 12. Trump takes the age group of 49 to 59, 52% to Biden's 39%. Biden is on top with voters over the age of 60, 52 to 41, with an 11-point margin. My thoughts before we get final thoughts from Jason Johnson on this is that Kamala Harris is going to show Joe Biden's best attributes. She's going to make him look good. She already right now shows that he's man enough, strong enough, confident enough to bring on somebody as capable as him, with real skills, with real chops, and who has challenged him. And I think that's a reflection on Joe Biden that is extremely positive. Kamala Harris, from my own personal experience, is very concerned about equality, women's issues. She spoke at one of my Know Your Value events, and I think John Hyman made the point on the show today that she's got unbelievable retail politics skills. Before she even walked in the room, the crowd went wild upon hearing her name. So she's got that magnetism that often is very useful on a campaign trail when there's not a pandemic. Jason Johnson, your thoughts?
Right. I got to say this. I am somebody who, I've been critical of Senator Harris at various times in the past, but her retail politics skills are amazing. I met her in a green room. She charmed the heck out of me. I must admit, despite some of the things I've written, I've always thought that she was the best person for the job. And I'm glad we're at a point in the country where when we say the best person of the job, it is also now a woman. It used to always be the best person of the job who happens to be of the men available. So I actually think it was the smartest choice for Joe Biden to make. But I got to tell you, Mika, with these numbers, Hillary ahead by the same amount in August of 2016, and she lost. Democrats can't rest on their laurels. You can celebrate Senator Harris, but you still got to get out and vote. You still got to get out and work.
Heck no, and Claire McCaskill will end on you, but I'll tell you, it was just, you know what's cool? Is that there were like 10 women who would have been great choices. The bench was amazing. We're in a new time.
Yeah, and listen, I'm excited. We're all excited. It's a really strong ticket. But I agree with Jason. Now is no time to think we've got this thing wrapped.
Oh, yeah.
Now is the time to double down and work even harder because this guy's going to keep coming at us.
Oh, he'll try and cheat. That's what he's working on right now, looking at those polls. It looks like he's trying to bend the rules. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. That does it for us this morning. Stephanie Rule picks up the coverage right now.
Thanks, Mika. Hi there. I'm Stephanie.